journey. Om Shri Gurubhyo Paramagurubhyo Srimadananda Chitta Bhagavat Padacharyobhyo Namo Namaha Narayana Paripurna Gunarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolaya Niyati Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibhuda Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipralimba Viparita Madiprabhudan Vadan Rasya Kritavan Bhuvitattvavadam सर्वेश्वरो हरिरीति प्रतिपातकं तम् आनन्दतीर्थमुनिवर्यं नमामि पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहैः तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome friends, we are into Kathopanishad where we are trying to getting into the metaphor of the chariot. One of the effect of Kathopanishad, it is said, because the Upanishads have come much earlier than the scriptures, Mahabharata, Ramayana and all. This chariot metaphor has inspired Vyasa when he was considering and when he was writing the Mahabharata. And in fact, as such, the Gita, which has taken place at the battlefield, the chariot metaphor has come actually from the actual happening of Gita when it was being given by Lord, the song of the Lord, when it was given to the entire mankind. That was inspired from this Upanishad. That's what, because that's they say. In fact, it happened actually, even the Lord was so inspired. So he wanted to bring an occasion because in no other scripture or no other gospel, you will find a situation in which you are actively involved in a fight, in a war, and there comes the occasion for the entire the wisdom to be pronounced by the power that may be. That's what it has happened. So in fact, because as we see in the Gita also, if you really see, because in the early days, when we used to study for our exams, we used to selectively study, because we used to have so many things and all, because the smart students used to pick up and study that, and most of the students who want to meticulously read the entire, the sort of a subject and all, they used to study from page 1 to last page. But always it doesn't happen. You will read the first page and the first page will be well versed, you will be well versed with the first page because you will be every time, you will be opening the first page. And in between, because he will be trying to go fast, because your time is limited. Afterwards, you will be reading the last page. So this is what will happen. In fact, if you really see the Gita, assuming the very first mantra you take, then Dhritarashtra asks, what happens in the battlefield? What is happening to Mamakam Pandavas Chaiva? This is what he is saying. When he is asking Sanjaya, what is happening in the battlefield between Pandavas and Mamakam, my own people. So the very first mantra in Gita, what he says is exactly that shows, because that you have taken everything, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yutsavaha, Mamakam Pandavas Chaiva, Kim Kurvata Sanjaya, because Sanjaya has got the Divya Drishti, and there is a story behind it, how he got the Divya Drishti and all. He was eligible at that time, that's why Vyasa has given. He is blind, like us. Dhritarashtra is blind, because we don't know what exactly is the right, what exactly, because Shreyas, Prayas, when we talked about the Avidya, Vidya, that's what, what happens. We have to always try to choose between the other. So the very first mantra says Mamakam, because he's not able to say what is happening between the two groups, the two warring groups, the Kauravas, and the Pandavas. Because Pandavas are also Kauravas. It's not that they are different, but because they have been thrown out, because they have been sent out, the Pandavas had to have a separate identity. Otherwise, they are also Kuruvamsa only. But when he was referring to Pandavas, he was referring Pandavas. But when he is referring to his own children, he is telling Mama come, mine, me, mine, and I that has come. Because the very first mantra says this is what is being dealt with the entire Bhagavad Gita. What is me and mine? You are not able to see beyond your nose. because you have been restricted, your vision is restricted. You are able to see, because when you are trying to see me, you are seeing only your body, mind and intellect, your own people, your own children, your own family. But you are not able to go beyond that. So the song, the divine song, the celestial song, as it is being called Bhagavad Gita, it deals with this particular question through the entire, all the 18 chapters. Finally, when we comes to last chapter, then Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutri, Duvanitir Matirmama, when that comes where the entire intellect, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, the highest power, who is giving the discriminating power. And when he is there, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, when you are acting in this world, with your limited knowledge and limited potential, but when you are able to get that help of the discernment, when you are able to get the help of intellect, because the super intellect, what has come about from the Krishna is the highest, because when you get the intellect gets power from the super soul. Super soul is what we call Paramatma. When we call Atma and Antaratma, the very first mantra, when we have said there are two aspects of the God, Atma is the one, because which is inside us, it is guiding us, it is giving the life force and all. Antaratma is, it is the Stula Sarira. The Stula Sarira, it is in the Anahata Chakra, what we call the heart chakra. So it is there, and Antaratma is the Sushma Sarira. So when he is there, when you are able to have the sort of antar, because when you are able to have atmartha, meditation and all, finally you are trying to reach the antaratma, where you are able to get the knowledge. Till such time you are having, acting on this body, you will only have dehabhimana, whatever the body, mind and intellect is there, you are limiting yourself only to that. You are not able to go beyond that. The very first mantra, Dharma Kshetriya, Kurukshetriya. See, when he said, because of that particular mantra, the Dhritarashtra, when he says, it is that I am limiting myself, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. When he says, because he is telling it's a war zone, but when, arraigned against each of them, Samaveta Yutsavaha, when they have arraigned against each other, what happens, when he is asking, he has to ask dispassionately what is happening between the two groups. He is not able to ask. He is asking only what is happening between my people and the Pandavas. Pandavas are nobody else. His own nephews, his own brother's children. He should have considered what is happening between my children. He could have asked, because his own children and nephews are also like his own children. He didn't have that broad vision. He limited himself, because that it starts with that. Psychologically, this is what is being expounded. When it doesn't give only the Gospels and the Mahavakyas, just to be followed here and there and all. It takes the psychological aspect of how a human being can deal with this world. This is what we have seen. So once we have said, and we also saw it, and finally we will have to Setu Rajanam, because when we Setu E Jananam, because second mantra when we have seen, finally we will have to take the refuge. Refuge in the sense he is the bridge, who can take us through the entire life, because the entire life, whatever comes, ups and downs, you will have, because the great ecstasy, and you will have to have sort of a distress, will be coming along the way. You will have to be sailed through that. You will have to get that particular wherewithal, only for your discriminating ability. The discriminating ability comes from where? The God's grace. We talked about it. God's grace comes once you make yourself eligible for that. How you make it eligible for that? When you are morally highly elevated, when you are able to see everything and all in a perspective, dispassionately, without taking anything and all. As well, you are able to see everything from the point of view of accomplishing the task without any selfish interest. Nishkamya karma, when he says. But then, karma you will have to do in this world. Renunciation, because we may be talked about, you will have to control the senses, you will have to control the mind, you will have to renounce and all. The renunciation is not the answer. So when you do anything, when you give up also, you will have to give up from the point of your strength, not out of weakness. When I give up, because look, unless I give up, I will not be able to achieve, then I will have to give up and all. See, it happens in most of the philosophies. For instance, Buddhist philosophy, nihilistic philosophy, what we call it, It is also called in Sanskrit terms as Sunyavada. Sunyavada in the sense, it is absolutely nothing is there. Finally, you will have to achieve the nirvana. Nirvana by achieving what? By giving up the desires. By giving up the desires, you can't be torturing yourself. Once you come into this world, the body, mind, and intellect, through the senses only you are able to acquire the knowledge. You cannot be torturing yourself, by giving up, all the. You will have to act in this world. The karma is, because the karma yoga is very important yoga in Bhagavad Gita also. It is not that you can procrastinate. You can't be desisting from not doing any action. It is the blueprint for taking the highest action possible in this world with the wisdom and the power to discriminate. That is what Bhagavad Gita finally aims at. So once that is there, you can't be doing that. But because Buddhist, this entire, the mendicants, the monks who were being sort of taken in, they have to undergo a rigorous sort of control, of their body, mind, and senses and all. And sometimes, because people are not able to take. You may be finding, because there are, I think you might have come across some news here and there and all. Some of the people, they commit suicide, because they are not able to do, what is required for them to achieve that. Some of them, even get into some sort of a weird actions and all, because either they become a monk, otherwise they become a pervert. There are no two ways about it. One of the reasons why Buddhism, though it has originated from India, it couldn't take roots in this country is mainly because of the rigorous sort of a control, but without any sort of a faith. Sunyavada in the sense, because finally even the consciousness is a ever-changing consciousness. In Buddhist, there is no one consciousness. It is there and all. But even though they have got the highest way how to deal with it, because the Mahayana has got certain very good scriptures to say and all. How people can understand and imbibe, is a very difficult proposition. And they didn't have any sort of a base, because they have not taken any Veda or any other scriptures as the base. They have got their own scriptures. In Pali, a lot of scriptures are there. That is how in 7th century when Shankaracharya came, and when he brought in the concept, there is a basis for all these things. The Veda has given us the basis for everything and all. Based on that, we will be able to achieve. And, we can consider ourselves, we don't have to consider the Sunyavada. From Sunyavada, it is zero. From zero, he brought it to one. Everything is one. We and I, the being and as well as the Brahman, they are one and the same. But as long as you don't have the wisdom to know that, you will be working in this world and you will be getting into this world. Once you have that wisdom, once the Upadhi, what they call it, Upadhi is like a mirror, because you are like a reflection of the same Brahman. But when the mirror is being, having all the dust, it just doesn't give the same, because you are only seeing, what having been covered with the dust, you think, you are the entity as it is. Once the dust goes off, then you realize you and the creator or the Brahman, you are one and the same. That's what the concept he brought about. But when he brought about the concept, again, he brought it about, because when there is sort of a merging of, the creator and the created, it is not for everybody's sort of a wisdom or ambit to understand. Because, it can give different connotation. You think you are as powerful as the creator. It is not so. You are only a limited version of the entire, the reflection. In the limited version, you can be limitedly, you will be able to get that particular aspect, the quality, when you know the entire world has got nothing much to offer. Brahma Satyam Jagat Vitya, that is the concept in Advaita. So because when Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, in the sense Mithya is being interpreted in a different way by different acharyas, different proponents and all. It is a temporary truth. It is not the untruth. See, truth and untruth are there, but both will have to be dealt with in logically if you analyze. But the truth is there, which is what is not truth is untruth. But it is not, something illusion or anything like that. It is a temporary truth. It is existence is ephemeral. It goes off like that, because once you have to understand like that, because then what happens? Then, the question of, if you want to become, you will have to give up the activities of the world, you will have to renounce that comes. You don't have to renounce, as we have seen, because once you are through the senses only, you are getting the knowledge, your senses only, you are getting the wisdom, because what you are experiencing is not the wisdom, because what you are experiencing is you are undergoing, the particular process, but finally what you cull out, the essence of it, what you get into yourself, what you imbibe yourself, what becomes innate in yourself, that is the wisdom. The experience per se is not the wisdom. Experience is experience, because if you go on counting on the experience, you will only finding whether, the happy and incidents, that might have happened, you would like to cherish and savor forever, and as well as the most abominable incidents, which you would like to forget. You will not even try to remember. Neither you have to remember the very happy incident, nor, the abominable incidents that has taken place, but you only have to take the lessons you have learned. And that gives you the power of discerning. So that discernment comes because of the God's grace. God has given you the ability to take the lessons from your experience. The experience per se never becomes the one. That is why in this world, because sense control is, senses are the most potent weapon to, most potent instruments to have the knowledge in this world. So you will have to use the senses properly. That's all. So when you are able to see, because tongue is the most important instrument, if you are able to talk, because when we every day, when we pray, when we do, every day nitya karma, we also say mukham sukham, because when I should be able to be having a sweet face, I should be able to talk sweetly. So that is what my endeavor should be. I should try to be, because even I may have occasion when it is not so sweet. But once I realize consciously, I should try to bring it. And what happens when you want to speak, you will speak only if you can speak sweetly. Otherwise, is there any need to speak at all? What is the point of speaking, which is not sort of palatable to someone else? So that's what happens. So therefore, senses are very important, but you have to wisely use the senses. You should have the wisdom to use the senses. That comes through your own effort. That effort, because more you take the effort, you get the grace of the God. So you have got a sense controller. We said the entire body is like a chariot, and the jiva is riding the, because riding the chariot. You are the, and the charioteer is the intellect who is having the power to discriminate, and the mind is the bridle which is connecting all the senses to the charioteer. If the bridle is somewhat loose and wacky, the you will not be able to control the charioteer. Will not be able to do anything with that if the mind doesn't have the control. That is why, because the mind will have to be sort of a strong, because you should have the bridle over the senses. It should take you to the right area, and you should use it properly. And it's not that you will have to live in this world. Karma, doing karma is inherent in us once we have come into this world. The inherent, why we have to do, because you are going to exhaust the prarabdha karmas. Prarabdha karmas, how we will be able to exhaust? By doing the right act in this world. So when you are to do the karma, what enables you to do the karma? Because by whatever that comes to your mind and the intellect says, this is the right thing to do. That's what we said, shreyas and prayas, which is pleasurable, which is delectable, and which is most highest, which is sort of taking taking you to the elevated level. They both will be there always. That you don't have to bother, unnecessarily. It will come by practice. Once you know, do I have to waste my time on this, or do I have to do it necessarily? If I have to do it, let me do it perfectly. When you are doing perfectly, in the sense you lose yourself in the work. You lose yourself when lose yourself in the work. You will not be having any wishful thinking of a selfish benefit. You will be totally devoting yourself. For instance, you have to read a book and you will have to teach to the children. You will not be thinking about what type of children you are going to deal and all. First, you will be trying to find what are all the things. How am I to take the concept and put it in such a way that the children will be able to understand? You are transforming the entire knowledge in such a way the people are able to take it. So that is the great, because the job, you are becoming a processor by which, you are able to take it and put it as simply as possible. Why our scriptures and Upanishad have become mumbo jumbo to a lot of people, because you only talk about the concepts and you talk about it is said like this here and all. How am I to take it in my everyday life? That is very important. So that is why, because you should control the senses, the Upanishad says, control over the senses, not control the senses. That means, if I give up all the senses, if I give up my karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, I will be deformed. I need all. I need my hands. I need my legs. I need my eyes. I need my ears. Because through which only I am able to operate in this world. I need the tongue. That's why there is a very famous Tamil poet. It's one of the finest poet, they called, it's a Saiva Siddhantam, it is there in Tamil also. There is one Thirumandiram is there. Thirumandiram is this sacred mantra. In English, if it has to be translated, sacred mantra. He has written 3,000 verses. Mind-boggling verses. It is called the Pattam Thirimurai. This is the 10th gospel of Saiva Siddhanta. In who are following Tamil, it is as good as parallel to the Kashmiri Shaivism. There is a parallel, and we will see, it's a different subject. A lot of parallel, and it has come mostly from there. The concepts have been taken here. One of the most important thing, in that is a Thirumular, he says, he has written 3,000 mantras. In his 2009th mantra, that is the verse what he says, everyone say you control the senses, you control the senses. Adakku, adakku, adakku enbar arivilar. Those who are telling, control the senses and all, they are all unwise. They don't know what they are talking about. Adakku, adakku, adakku enbar arivilar. Adakku என்பது அமரராலும் ஆகாதது. Because even the devas can't control the senses. He says, forget about, you are a human being. How can you control the senses? And then next line he says, if you control all the senses and if all the senses are inactive, you are as good as dead. He says, achetana, you become sachetana, you become insentient. Then how will you be able to live in this world and get the knowledge and wisdom? Then he says, now I have got the technique by which keeping the senses sharp, alive, and I am able to get the best in this world. I am able to get the highest power of discrimination which can take me through the life journey. This is exactly the most important, because this has been so beautifully said in that verse. I don't find a parallel verse anywhere else. That's why, I have to access to this verse and say, and therefore what happens, because he says in a very good example in that also. See, like elephant is a very capable. Elephant, is a metaphor is being used by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also. It has been used by others also. In fact, it has come in Bhagavatam also. See, in this verse, the Tirumular, when he takes this elephant, he says, elephant is very capable, gentle, as well as, when it comes, even a king wants to come on the elephant, when he comes to show his power and he wants to come on the elephant. Even the temples, when the gods are being taken out in procession, of course, in south it is very common, north, of course, because it's only white, you don't see so much as it is, but in south, every temple will have a elephant. And appropriate days, and in fact, every month, few days, the deity comes on the elephant to give darshan to all the devotees. Because to show the elephant is so powerful, if it runs amok, people can't stand in front of it. But when it is controlled, it comes with a gallant and gaiety, and it is right royal, it comes with a sort of a stance, which really, takes you down, and you don't feel, afraid of it. You go near that, children go and, because they put a coin and get the blessing and all those things happen. So your senses are like elephant. It is so powerful. It is so sharp. But when you are having a sort of, when you are having the control over that, when it doesn't run amok, when your bridle is so sharp, then you will be able to get the best out of that. But when the elephant runs amok, I don't think entire city can stand in front of it. It can go anywhere and everywhere, and it can create havoc. So no one can be able to manage them. It is like that elephant. You will be able to do that. Therefore, you have to take the senses. And he says, he also goes one step higher. So he is also so well versed in Tantra Shastras. In fact, in the Thirumandiram, when they say it is mantra, tantra, and sadhana, all the three together in 3000 verses. In one verse says, how we will have to be able to, why your senses don't, because get the control or don't act in the way you want. He says, we got, because 5 tanmatras, Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, because 5. What is Sabda is what you are hearing through your ears. Sparsha is what you are feeling through your skin. Rupa is what you are able to see. Whatever, you are able to see the forms, through your eyes. Rasa is, because what you are able to get through your tongue. Your tongue is not only, because walk as well as, it gives you. Your tongue doesn't have any bones. It is all soft and it is able to get any taste, because which is, you will be able to get it. You will be able to get it, as long as your faculties are good. You will be able to get any taste. It is the only thing which is able to get the taste and gives you the trigger to have a liking. I like Rasagulla, but I like this and that and all it gives. But the first point of interaction is your tongue. Rupa, Rasa, and Gandha is smell. The smell is by smell, even if you don't go to a place, if you know the smell from the kitchen, today something wonderful thing is being cooked. It comes to you. That, you are able to get and your mind acts without any interaction, by that, because what is happening there and all. So what happens, when your faculties are good, you will be able to get, because enjoy the right cooking. You will not be, because you will not be able to take up, any sort of a foul smell. Because you will not be able to discriminate. You will not be able to stand. But if something is very good is cooked or some prasad is happening, some incenses has been lit, or because there is a wonderful, atmosphere, where you have gone for satsang, when it is there and all. So you are able to get the smell and all. So then he says, all these things happens because there is a weakness in your chakra. He goes to the chakra meditation. Chakra meditation, all your chakras are in your Sushma Sarira, your astral body. Your Sthula Sarira, you got the glands corresponding to that. So when you have got the glands in, because when the smell, when you are finding a problem, I am not able to smell. My nose is, stuffy nose, I am not able to do it. So somehow, I am not able. You have got some problem with the smelling and all. When it happens, it is your Muladhara chakra is weak. So he says, try to work on Muladhara chakra. How you will be able to work on Muladhara? By meditation. So in chakra meditation, when they do it, it's nothing but a normal meditation. By you try to focus onto the Muladhara chakra. From there, the energy is being taken out and brought up. So you should, he says, Muladhara chakra is responsible for Gandha. He says, because this Tirumular, he lived almost more than 1,000 years earlier. He has brought this great concept. And then he says, once, okay, that is there. And if you are not able to get the taste, sometimes, you feel, your tongue is almost dead. Everything looks same. Everything looks bland. Everything tastes bland. When it happens, it is happening mainly because your Manipura is not working. You work on that Manipura, you do that. And then he goes on telling, because you got, as you come up, Swadhisthana, and then you come to the Swadhisthana is the one responsible for Rasa. And then Manipura, Rupa Rasa, when your eyes are not working, Manipura is very important. He says, even if you have got a problem of eyesight, by working on the Manipura and having the chakra meditation and strengthening your chakra, because the chakras are nothing but the switches in the Sushma Sarira. They are not being switched on. They are not being switched on potentially. Like we have got switch, you got breakers, in the electrical system. It breaks when there is a fluctuation. But when the power is straight, it allows the full power to go with the full amperage, so that because the necessary instruments get it and all. Circuit breakers, we call it. It is like that, because it is the switches once it is on, it gives you. The Manipura once it is doing, all your eyesight, eye problem will go off. That's what he says. And likewise, you try to work on strengthening your senses, because your senses are very important. If you are trying to control the senses, you want to become something, of a, yeah, you sense control, you go it in a weird way, you will only be as good as dead, because it will not be giving you the enough sort of a wherewithal to live in this world and get the wisdom. This is what is. And then he comes to Ruparasa, Gandha, and then he uses Sabda Sparsha. The Sparsha, when it comes, then he says it is Anahata Chakra, the heart chakra. The heart chakra, when it is there, when it doesn't, your emotions are, because most of the your skin problems and your sort of, the happens mainly because that there is, the chakra is not full. You try to work on the chakra, and emotional coherence is very important. I received one, I think, message, maybe I think Madam has sent. Our emotions are always, taking us, but the reality is something different. Once you give up the emotions and accept the reality, I think then I got one message like that. What is reality? What is reality is the right knowledge about the particular thing, because what you are happening, when you are able to see, you are able to get the right vision of the object, what you are looking into. That comes from your discriminating power and the strength of the sense. When you have a robust sense, when you have sharp sense, when you have been brought to the highest possible excellence, you will be able to get that. That comes. So once it comes, then you will be able to get that particular thing. And then comes Sabda, when you are able to hear, when you are able to speak, walk it comes, because the discriminating power, you are able to speak the right words at the right moment. It asks God's grace every time. With the great orator like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, when he speaks, he comes like a stream flow. How it comes? It is all because of his control. That his chakra is so high. It is the Vishuddhi chakra. Vishuddhi is what you call the thyroid glands. Because from there only finally you get the vision in the Ajna chakra. Finally, when the energy comes there, you are able to get it. So when you are able to do that, what happens is it is not only the emotional coherence, it is also the brain coherence. Brain coherence is nothing but intellect coherence. From the brain, it comes, finally you get the entire coherence. When both the brain coherence and emotional coherence takes place, then you will be perfectly acting like an elephant which walks through right royally across, with all the gait and, the gain, it walks, it is that. Otherwise, when you don't have that, when you allow it to be loose, then it runs amok. When it runs amok, we become the potent, the one, who will have to face the consequences. Our own senses. I will have to face the consequences. For my senses misbehavior, someone else is not going to face the consequences. Therefore, in my own interest, I will do that. Because that's what, the last two mantras when we have said, how the discriminating ability, takes you to that, how you will be able to have the control. The control is nothing but not giving up the senses and taking the senses off the road. They will have to be active. They will have to work to their finest perfection. They will have to work to the excellence. Once you are there in this world, you will have to be able to appreciate every form. You will be able to appreciate every creation and enjoy everything, as well as take the best out of that. If a beautiful flower is in the plant, you admire that, you enjoy that, and but don't pluck it. But if you want to have it, that's what happens in our everyday experience. When you like something, you want to get it. Once you want to get it, because are you able to make the flower will wither in few moments? Here also the interest will wither after some time. You will not be able to merge. You will not be able to enjoy. But keeping the flower in the plant, as it is, when God has given it, what happens? Because then you enjoy. You see so many flowers. You go to a garden, and with so many flowers, tulip gardens, you see varieties. You enjoy that. You don't go on plucking it, because that is where comes the desire. You enjoy what God has ordained and enjoy the world and take the best out of that, but don't try to have it. To have anything is the desire. So what happens is, because the desire causes two things. When you want to get something, as long as you don't get it for you, when you want to see something at a distance and enjoy that, You enjoy that as it is. But when you want to have it for yourself, as long as you don't get it, you get the krodha. The karma from that krodha comes when you don't get it. And when the krodha doesn't come, because when finally you want to have it, and the lobha comes. And when the lobha, once it comes, and then it is madam, acharya, and all the other things follow. So therefore, in the world, when you are able to enjoy, see everything in a person, and you are able to see something good, some new things have come. Well, as long as a utility value, you will have to utilize that. But then, you simply should not, because just because I happen to have it, it is not that, because I will have to own that, I have to show it off, that is going to be my life. That's not that. Okay, anything can go off. So this is the individual relationship also. Whatever be the relationship you are in that relationship at that particular point of time to get out of the worldly experience at that point of time. It's not that you are not owning. You don't see, your own children don't belong to you after some because they are belong to the world. He becomes a citizen of the world and she becomes the citizen of the world. And you also don't belong to your parents after a period of time because because they have given you and they have sent you out and all. But then you will have to manage because whatever the moral duty is there, they look after your children, give them the good education, look after your parents, look after your family, wife. All those things are inbuilt in that. But then that is the be all or end all because likewise there are so many nucleus families are there, so many things are there, and all these things will happen and also as you are sharing your own what you have with your family and the children, same thing once you take a bigger dimension you will be able to share whatever you can share, be it knowledge or be it because whatever help you can offer or even the resources what you have to offer, it will come and that will come. That is exactly the first mantra of Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samvetam Samavetam Yutsavaha Mamakam Pandavascheva Kim Kurvata Sanjay. He is asking, what is that? You should not be asking. You are an emperor. He has forgotten that. Dhritarashtra is an emperor at that point of time. All his subjects are his children. So therefore, his nephews are his own children. Like when the subjects are children, what if the nephews are as good as his children? He should have taken care of that. He didn't have that because this for us also when you become because you become your consciousness become the cosmic consciousness, unless you have the broad vision, unless you have the broad sweep, you will not be able to get that cosmic consciousness because you are still limited by our own thoughts, our own me and mine, because that boosts up your ego. When someone praises, the ego goes up. Someone insults, because you take it, as a dislike, and then you daggers drawn, you're trying to go to the any extent, because if someone has insulted even 10 years before, even if there is an invite, where you have to common invite from someone, and you won't like to attend because that person will also be there. That becomes. Because all these things will have to be given up in the sense, you should not take at any point of time anything as yours. It comes and goes as far as you are concerned. You try to be, because don't try to complain about others. He should have done that. He has not done that. He's like this. And now, so normally someone would have done like that, but he's not doing it. What is the purpose you are going to achieve? You try to perfect yourself. Automatically it flow. So this is what in it. Basically, the idea is when we have seen last two mantras, where the chariot metaphor was there. I just wanted to bring out, it's not that we should not be unduly worried about and going about the self-control to such an extent, it all causes all the weird consequences. Atmanam Ratinam Vidhi Shariram Ratamevacha. That's what we saw the metaphor. Buddhim tu Sarati Vidhi Maraha Pragramevacha. It's all simply said, because the body is like a chariot, because you use it properly. So a chariot, has to be used like a chariot. You should not be used like a cycle rickshaw. It has to go to the royal path, Rajpath, it is there in Delhi. You should go in that, like a king, like an emperor, because you will be going like an emperor when you see everyone as yours. When you see everyone and when your senses are in control, all the five horses go in unison, sync. You will be able to go that, because then that is where towards the road of your elevation or liberation and all. This is what it said, because next mantra also only emphasize the there, Indriyani, Hayani, all the Indriyas are like horses. Horses run fast. Vishayamsteshu Gocharam, all the objects, all the experiences that is lying in front of you is the road. Atmendriyan Anoyuktam, because once Atmendriyas, all the Anoyuktam, all of them combined together gives you Atma, because your ability to control, your grace, what you have got, by virtue of your own conduct under your own matrix, to be, in line with your own matrix, not the matrix of the world. Don't think of others. In your own matrix, you have to see. I have to do. I am a person. I have to elevate myself. I have got my matrix. Others may do that, but I may not do that because this is what I think I have to do. So once you have your own matrix, then you go about that, because Bhokte Tyahu Manishinaha. Once you are able to have it, you become Manishinaha. You have got a control over your mana. Mana in the sense mind. When you have got the mind, you automatically got the control over senses. Senses are, the mind is superior to the senses. The senses gets into the control of mana because he is the boss. The mana comes in the controller of the chariot or intellect, who is the one who is driving the entire chariot. And once both of them work together, the Atma, because the Jiva, you will be able to get the Atma or Antaratma both together will give the grace, and you will get the right knowledge to live the life as best as possible and all, because the happiness, the ride may be, rough sometimes, the ride may be sometimes smooth, there may be undulations, there may be some sort of a road may not be even everywhere and all, you will be able to take it. The happiness will be there, and sometimes, because it may not be happiness, it may be distress. You'll be able to deal with both as long as you have got the discriminating power and the senses are sharp enough to give you the wisdom. So this is what exactly talked about. That is why, because it should not give a wrong connotation. Because in Buddhist monks, sometimes they do very weird things. Someone felt, he is not able to control, and he undergoes, he cuts one of his organs and all. All these things, you can see in Thailand, as well as, all Cambodia and all these places happened. And because of this, then they didn't have any basis, because we have got a basis of a Veda. When you have got a basis of a Veda, you got a basis of these Samhita, you got a basis of a Brahmana, you got Samhita of Aranyaka and Upanishad, Vedanta. When you got such a high, and finally the entire elixir, the essence of Veda was controlled by, Upanishad was given by Bhagavad Gita, and you got the great epics and Ramayana and Mahabharata, they have given and set up a umpteen number of instances, umpteen number of actual happenings, which propels you to take yourself to the highest. So when we have got it, but in Buddhism, they have got their own gospel, the Nirvana, and because it can't be understood by everyone, but they have got the elevated masters. The great masters in Buddhism are there, but they are trying to, because like Dalai Lama, he brings about the practical Buddhism to most of the people. That's how he was able to get across to people to live a normal life as well as a morally valuable life, but everyone. So likewise, they have also adopted it and taken it together. For luckily, the scriptures, what we have that has given us. Now we will got two more mantras, we will be reciting that. We will be seeing the essence of that. And we will also see the little more detail in the next week. It is 1.3.5 and 1.3.6. It is in the page 70 of your book. See, it will say, the intellect, avijnanavan and vijnanavan. This title you might be seeing, the intellect. The intellect is, one who is highly elevated with wisdom, one who has not been elevated at all. The one who doesn't know, avijnanavan in the sense who doesn't have the wisdom. Vijnanavan is the one who has the wisdom. We know that, because it is said, but what is the effect of it? What is that vijnana? What is that wisdom, what it is being talked about? We'll just recite the mantras 1.3.5 and 6 together, and we will see the immediate, because the understanding what we get, and we will go a little more in detail in the next session. Yato avijnanavan bhavati. Because yato avijnanavan, when you are not able to discriminate, when you are not non-discriminating, what happens? Avviktena manasa sada, because you unrestrained mind, you got always agitation, restlessness. It takes you here and there. All the horses trying to run amok. As the Plato has said, the two horses, even the one horse, which is dark and grey and impetuous and goes everywhere, and all the other one is immortal in white, it takes you to the ridge of the heaven. It is like this. You will have to manage both, both sort of both are, because they are not a symmetry. You will have to manage the asymmetry of a life. This is what exactly they talk about. Tasmain Indriyani Avashyani Tushtachi Vasarate. Because for him, Tasmain, for him, there will not be any control over senses. What is meant? Dushtacha. Because you will be having all sorts of draconian, because thoughts, and you will have vague habits, you will be taking away yourself out of the entire thing. You will totally be running into disaster in this life if you are not able to control. This is what uncontrollable, the wild horses of the chariot. It is like, you have a wonderful Mercedes Benz, brand new saloon, GLS, whatever they call it, 4 and all. And finally, you give it a reckless driver. Will you be able to give a reckless driver? You will try to see, who is the best driver, who can sort of navigate it so smoothly, and, because you should not be such a costly one. You will not try to have all scratches and bumps here and there and all. You will try to take it as necessary as possible. It should be driven as it should have been, even in the roads of India. That's what you will take, and you will try to get the best driver for that. You will not be giving it to reckless driver. So when you are avijnanavan, when you are not applying yourself, when you are not able to have the control, when you are not having that sadhana to control, what we call sreyash and prayers and avidya and vidya, when we say it all, these are all the ones trying to the techniques. Either you do reflect yourself, what is that Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana, the meditation, or think about yourself, because what that I am doing, does it have a meaning? Is it going to help me anything? So what happens is every moment will be well spent. You will not have any occasion to say, it's boring, I've got nothing to do. But you've got everything to do, you don't have the time. That's what will happen. Because you've got arranged so many things one after the other. So you are trying to be fully engaged. That bliss, that pleasure, the abiding pleasure that accompanies you in your entire day, that is inexplicable. That you cannot get even millions of dollars if it is spent. This is exactly what happens now. For instance, I will tell you, because the Avijnanavan, one instance, what has happened is I am trying to extrapolate and give a different real life example. The Americans, went and occupied Iraq. They said, that Saddam Hussein has got the chemical weapons and mass destructive weapons, it has to be done and all of this. This is the they have got it. They said that the world believed. Now it turns out, after their own investigation, because the Americans' democracy is so good, they have got so much of a checks and balances. A lot of people go into the depth of it, and they make the report, and they declassify document, which were all classified ones. When they see there is not even an iota of any chemical weapon there, they did it because of the wrong decision at that point of time. Not that because it is unknowingly taken, because some people had interest in that. By having a war, you will be able to send, because a lot of people, they were having a defense factories. Some people have abiding interest in where you will be, because your defense can't be produced when there is no war. You have to have a war. There only it can be used. That's what is it. That is how it happened. Even that the Secretary of State at that point of time, one of the finest, the generals of the army was come, with a lot of. Even, he was supposed to have been misled, or he possibly not taken enough, the validation to check the details and Colin Powell. It all happened, and now it turns out, it was unnecessary war. But only thing is, the whatever has been produced in the defense factories of US, they got utilized, and the factory was running to full strength for a few years. That is the benefit of it. Finally, they got it. But what the world has gained out of that? Now the country himself, what is it? Because they have only got antipathy, and people are antagonistic even in the same place where they have gone. And they've all gone about, and people have lost their limbs and life. This is what finally happens. This happens avijnanavan, because a wise person would not have taken the decision like that. He would have said, okay, if it is there, we'll try to find, what exactly. Let's not immediately embark on that, because some vested interest was there. I think politics is like that. Everywhere vested interest only works. It happened like that. This is one example of how it can take, the entire avijnanavan. The personal level also it happens. The avijnanavan, because when I know very well, I think these are all bound to happen and all, but I don't have the discriminating. I go by senses, whatever the senses say and all. See, that's why, because when the elephant you are not able to control, it runs amok, you can't manage it. See, this is one particular parable, because said by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. It's a very beautiful parable. See, he said, because he was trying to give the concept, because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he followed all the philosophies and he exactly tried to practice all the philosophies, be it the Bhakti school or, because the Advaita school or this school, Dvaitavada, everything, because even Christianity is practiced. So he has gone, he's a lab, spiritual lab where he had all the experiences. That is why Vivekananda had such a great, because respect for him. He has not discarded anything just like that. He has experienced himself and brought out of the experience whatever has come. He has tried to give the sort of a knowledge to his own disciples. He was not lettered. He didn't go to school. His original name is Gadadhar. He is from a family, who are doing, the worship, they are all from Pujari, like Brahmins who are doing pujas. But whatever he has said out of his experience is uncontestable, out of pure experience. It is standing by the experience. He has experienced everything, whatever he has said. So he was telling to tell one parable, because one person came to him, Swami, you are telling everything is one. I am and me and Brahman are one. Because he was teaching all the other Bhakti school also, but this person having got that, he said, because if everything is one, I can do anything. Yes, you can do anything. After all, you have to give respect. The other person is also like you. He is also a Brahman, you are Brahman. In Advaita, the highest concept, neither you are, since both of us are there, there is no discussion because both of us are Brahmans. It's like that. Because when you reach the Brahman, you don't exist. You get subsumed. Like a camphor, you sublimate. There is no one existing to ask the question, no one existing to give the answer. But of course, that is to the highest level. That is not, because possibly helpful or, because it is not, even only few people have experienced. There is no point in talking about by people who are all in Vyavaharika world. So he said, if that is the case, let me do it. That this fellow, what he did, he was in his village, but there was a procession of the elephant. Some Mahut was bringing the elephant and all. The elephant was not in its true senses. It was trying to be, because running amok, at that sort of stage. He was warning everyone, please get aside this time. Everyone was going out and gave way to. But this fellow knowing philosophy, this is the problem of knowing the philosophy and having it understood in the way you want. He said, I am a Brahman, the elephant is Brahman. Why should I be worried? Because I am a Brahman, the elephant is Brahman, let the Brahman come, the Brahman and Brahman, this is a meeting. But finally, the elephant doesn't know he is a Brahman. He knows he may be no elephant. It threw him out. Finally, because of course he escaped, because some people helped him, finally brought him and all. He said, look, I am a Brahman and the elephant is Brahman. Why I should be? He said, then Paramahamsa said, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the Mahut who was sitting is also Brahman. Is he not warning you, to get aside? You can't get the concept, because in your own way you understand, he told you that Brahman, what he said, you should have followed. It's not that elephant is Brahman and you go and stand in front of it. This is exactly, because when you are able to understand Tattvamasi, when you say, it's not that you become, because You become something, you are able to get the qualities and you don't exist. And in the sense, you don't have any doubts. You will not be complaining about anything in this world. That is the quality. It's not that you become the quality of a Brahman in the sense, you don't become, omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent. You only become devoid of any doubts. You become being mortal being. You take everything and you only talk, when you are able to give an advice or when you want to get something, from others, or that's all. It's all in Vivaharika. You do it in the rightfully, which is pleasant to everyone to deal with. So instead of that, you can't be taking, these type of foolhardy steps to stand in front of an elephant. That's what it has been told to him. Likewise, when we have to understand these are all the things, and finally, when the sense, avijnanavan in the sense, you understand the avidya is wrong understanding, not the ignorance. You understand a philosophy in your own way, your wrong understanding, that takes you to the disastrous consequences. This is what it is about. And when we will be talking about what propels us to act in such a way, even when you have a discriminating, non-discriminating power, when you are able to get the best of discrimination also, how to be used. For that also you need the grace of the God. Once you get it, automatically you will act it. That is by practice, abhyasa. As Krishna himself says, by abhyasa and vairagya, steadfastness. And you have to hold on to, because whatever you should not be in, because even a person who has elevated, he just takes one slip to come down several steps. He just have an indiscretion at a moment and it takes him out of the entire mooring of his own being. So we will see, what are all the consequences of this. We have seen 1.3.5. The next mantra is also 1.3.6. It has to be read in tandem. We will be seeing the meaning of that next week. I will try to conclude today's sessions with and tomorrow. Today we will have one suktam, Brahmanaspati suktam. And Brahmanaspati suktam is who is the Brahman and Adipati, who takes Ganatipati. When we call Ganapati, Brahmanaspati is also something like that, Pranama. He gives you the power to live in this world and power to get the right knowledge and power to get the positive thoughts. As Thirumalar has said, you have to have the senses sharp and active, and they have to work to the potential. It's not that sense control means, I think, disjointed sense control. It's not that. You will have to act with the senses, but they will be under your command and control. We will see next week. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahaihi, tejasvina vadidamastu ma vishvidavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We will immediately go for the small meditation.